Hey, discipleship group leaders, you're getting this video because I thought this may be a great way to communicate with you on just some updates for discipleship groups and give some tips and things that have come up instead of having meetings here at church with everybody's schedules and just the busy things we got going on. I thought these videos would be a good way just to just kind of answer some questions and just kind of offer some advice as far as what I use and what I do for discipleship. One of the first questions I want to talk about is that I've heard from a couple groups is how to use the book. How do you use discipleship book, and what should you use for each chapter? So what I wanted to say is that in the introduction, I think it's right here in this paragraph. There's like 3 different ways that I've used the book in different groups that I've worked with. So I just kind of want to explain how that works and what you may want to use for your group. The first thing, how the book is intended to be used, is when you show up each week, you go over the lesson. It starts on the first page with terms and questions, and then it goes on to the Bible study. And these questions are just meant to be asked, and then if people want to fill in answers from the group, that's perfectly fine. And just go through the group, just go through the lesson, all the way through up until you get to the personal work section. So the chapters are not intended to be homework. The personal work, which we'll talk about, is intended to be kind of like their daily devotions and the homework, not the actual chapters themselves. Okay? So the other way that I've done it is sometimes with groups that are very talkative and outgoing, we just read through the key terms, ask some of the questions, and then if they can kind of get the big idea just by asking these questions, sometimes I just skip over this entire Bible study and I don't even ask about it the next time we get together. I say something like, hey, if you want to read this on your own, feel free, but otherwise you don't have to worry about it. So you can do it that way. Now, some groups, if you want to, assign the chapter what you don't get finished to have it done for next week along with the personal work. Now, I don't recommend that because most people don't want to do homework. This is a lot of work. We want it to be a time where they feel like they're growing through the conversation and through the discussion you have in the group. What I want people to do for homework is when they come to the personal work section, that is supposed to teach them devotion. So at the end of every chapter, there is a personal work section, and so each time there's a personal work, there's memory verses, and then starting in chapter 2, there's the boxes that teach people how to pray. At the beginning of the personal work section in chapter 2, it talks to them about the Acts concept, adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and stuff. And then throughout the week, there are devotions for them to do along with each week. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on and so forth. Now, this is supposed to get them in the routine of reading their Bible every single day. We don't want people to do it right before the group or the night before. We want them to do in the Bible every single day. Now, if they're doing something else for devotions, when you get together and ask the next time, what did you learn in the Word of God this week? Everybody should have an answer to that, whether they're doing these devotions or something else. Letting people go from week to week without ever personally opening up the Bible is not good. They should be opening up the Bible, either doing their own devotions, and if they're not, to do these devotions that are offered. So, as far as using the book, you can reread the introduction. Just to kind of wrap it up, the chapters are meant to be read in the session. It's not homework ahead of time to discuss. You can do it if you want to. I don't recommend that. And then also, don't feel afraid if you don't get through the whole chapter. That's fine. Make sure that there's a good conversation. But the personal work section at the end of every chapter is very important. That's supposed to mimic spiritual disciplines and devotions. And then ask for what people did on a week-to-week basis based on what they did in the personal work section or what they're learning from the Word of God. Okay, if you have any questions, email me, bbaker224@gmail.com, and then every week or so, I'll put out a new video of new questions and just different questions that you may have on how to lead groups effectively. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and I'll see you at church on Sunday.